Hi, good morning, Lizzie. How are you?
Good morning. I'm really well, thank you. Really well.
So, Lizzie is one of our authoresses. As you know, that's a new word that we've created. Authoresses of When the Goddess Calls. Lizzie is in volume 4. She's an incredible soul who has overcome lots and lots of stuff. But she's beautiful, and I'm so excited to interview you today. Lizzie, darling, tell us all about you.
I'm a spiritual happiness coach, which literally just means that I work with female entrepreneurs and I bring in lots of positivity and help to create a mix of positive and balanced lifestyles. And I do that through Reiki, manifestation, and meditation. Meditation is like just the biggest thing for me. So I love just being able to implement that in my work and being able to like just show that to others and how they can do it. So yeah, it's all about bringing positivity and balance to people's lives. It's pretty much what I do in a nutshell.
Where do you live, Lizzie?
In Dover, Kent. So the southeast I live.
So how long have you lived there?
All my life. I've been down here all my life. So yeah, so known in our small little town because I used to run pubs and everything. So
Okay.
yeah, I love my little town. It's full of history. And I think when you kind of strip back everything and see the beauty that it is, it's actually a really lovely little place. You know, you've got the beach, woods everywhere, you know, fields everywhere. Like, what is there not to, I'm sorry, but what is there not to love? There's just nature everywhere around you.
It is. There's nature everywhere in Dover. I mean, you've got the Dover Castle, which I'm telling you, every time I drive past that, I am in awe. There's always something beautiful that I find as I drive past the castle. And the view, I think that the last time I drove past there was a few weeks back with before lockdown with Rochelle, and we had to actually stop to look at the castle, but to look at the view because we could actually see France.
I know, it's beautiful, isn't it? You wouldn't think it. You think to yourself, you know, I remember when I was little and I'd look over and I'd be like saying to my mum, I'd be like, what's that across there? And she's like, France. And you know, you sit there and think, you can't see another country. That's not right. You can. And as you say, like, I just find it so tranquil. It just completely clears your mind. Like wherever you go, and if it's like, you know, I go out for a lot of walks with the dogs and things like that to clear my mind and just connect with nature. And I just come back and I just feel like this new zest of life, like new directions with things. It's brilliant.
So Lizzie, tell us about your path. How did you come onto the spiritual path? I know you're a mother of twins. So tell us exactly who you are and how did you come onto our path? You don't, I mean, not everybody that's in our books is in the spiritual path, but you know, and you don't have to jump up. Well, they are on the spiritual path. Sorry, not everybody in our book has had to have a trauma to go onto the spiritual path. Usually, we find when we're on the spiritual path, it's because we didn't listen to Creator, and that's when we did have a trauma. Or you can just open your heart, listen, and follow. So tell us about your journey.
So when I was probably about 4 or 5, I could see that I was a bit different. I could hear things that maybe someone else couldn't hear or see specifics that maybe someone else couldn't see. And of course, being that young, I kind of just knocked it on its head kind of thing. Then my parents got a divorce when I was about 7 and I moved schools. And I remember just starting this new school and it was like all of a sudden like a flood of energy, like to say, oh, we know she can see us. We're gonna go and see her because we know she can see us. And I would see so many different things. And one of the things I remember is seeing a building. And I never forget it. And I was walking down, because I used to live at the bottom of Castle Street, and I was walking down this really old, I think it's one of the oldest roads in Dover as well. And I remember walking down Castle Street, and you know when you just kind of get that peripheral vision where you just got to look. And I remember looking over, and I remember seeing this old like, it was like a barn kind of mill style, like the side of this building. And I thought, I never noticed that before. It must, it must be there. Didn't think much of it. Anyway, that day I went to school and we had someone's grandparent come in and tell us like the history of Dover and everything like this. And he pointed out this particular building. And of course, I did what every other child does. And I just went, oh, I saw that this morning. And I remember this stern, just grandparent sitting up and going, no, you didn't, because it's not there anymore. And I just sat there and went, yeah, but I did. And I thought, I did it as clear as day. Like, it was a white, dusty old kind of pattern. What? And I sat there looking at him thinking to myself, why would I make this up? It's a building. And he was like, no, it doesn't exist anymore. You did not see it. And of course, the whole class then erupted up in laughter. And I was like, oh my God, like, I really, like, what the heck?
Yeah, and, I hear you.
And then I after that, obviously, I started kind of seeing things and hearing things a bit more. But my mum was in like a domestic violent relationship and everything at the time. And it was just, and I don't know, I think when you're a child as well, when you hear these things, I obviously back then as well, I think Casper had come out at that point as well, the film. And you kind of think to yourself, well, I'm going through all of this, like, can you come and look after me? Can you come and save the day? But of course, it's not always, it's not always like that, is it? So I created a fear, and I created this fear so extent that if you were to tell me that there was a ghost in someone's house, I wouldn't go in there. And that was really hard to do, especially when I worked for Wetherspoons for 15 years. Yeah. And all our pubs are pretty much haunted.
So, are they really? Oh, that's so funny.
So yeah,
well, there's spirits round spirits, so there you go.
Yeah, and it was so funny because I knew that our pub was, but I was always like, no, I'm not going to see you. I don't want to see you. And they must, I mean, if I was a spirit, I must have been sitting there going, what is she doing? What is she doing? But and I didn't realise, 15 years subconsciously, every morning I'd walk in and say good morning to them, and every night I'd say good night, because to me that was out of courteous. And I didn't even realise I was doing it. And I was like, oh, okay. And I suppose then it was about 3 years ago, I went through a big breakup, and I just felt really lost. I didn't know what direction I was going. I felt really lost. And a few of my friends had done things like Reiki that I'd seen, and I'd always turned it down and said, no, I don't want it. And then all of a sudden, I just sat there one day and just got this call in, and I've never wanted a reading. I've never wanted anything like that before. And I just sat there and I thought, I'm so lost. I'm literally like, I don't know where to go, what to do. How do I get out of this? And I never forget, I remember just contacting yourself, and we had this most phenomenal reading. And I remember in that reading as well, you said to me that you'd be like to journal stuff down, and that you'd be in a book, and that it would help lots of women and help lots of people with my journey and everything. And now look, I'm in a book, and just incredible. But yeah, after that, I had a session of Reiki, and I felt just incredible afterwards, and I couldn't explain how I felt after it. And I wanted more. I wanted to know more. I wanted to learn more. And over the last few years, I've been learning to accept that I've got a gift, and to learn and to keep learning and to open up more. And I've always been afraid of, I call the dark. I've always been afraid of the dark. I've always been afraid of the negative spirits and the negative energies that you get. And I think it was not so long ago that I just realised to myself, you know what, you get good and bad in living, as in, the descendant as well. And it's just all about blocking that energy out and just letting in, the light, the happiness and the positive. And I tell you what, these last few weeks, it seems to be like I've just exploded in energy, and it's great. Absolutely great.
And that's incredible to hear, because I know that you've had your own mental health issues, that you've gone up and down, and but there is a lockdown at the moment here in the UK, and people are all over the place. And I know that I pick up the energies, and they can be really cranky. But so tell us about your journey and how, you know, what they said to you, and how have you been able to come out of this?
So it started off that I was seeing angel numbers. So just before I'd had this big breakup, I kept on seeing synchronicities of numbers. Now, I've always been drawn to numbers, but I never knew what they were. I just assumed that, you know, oh, you spotted a number or anything like that. And I kept on repeatedly seeing 3 1s, like over and over and over again. And you know, when you get to the point where you think, and I just sat there thinking, okay, right, this isn't coincidence now. There's something there. There's a reason why I keep seeing these. And I never forget, I used to say to my dad about these things, and my dad never said anything. He just used to smile. And I was like, and you know, when you just get frustrated and think, come on, you're my dad, come on, help me out. Like, what do these things mean? And my dad has had a big part in my journey, because he always used to say to me, never be, be more afraid of the living than you are the dead. And that's every time I said to him, if ghosts existed, if spirits were about, that's all he ever said. Never denied anything, never said anything else. And he did palmistry when he was younger. So he's got a gift. Yeah, so he did palmistry and everything. And it was only recently that I noticed that every time I was asking him a question, that he wasn't denying anything or anything like that at all, but he was making me look for the answers. He was making me look for these kind of things myself. And he said to me, he said, you're on your journey. And I remember being taken aback, and I thought, what? And he went, you're on a journey. And I just sat there and I thought, what journey? And he went, a spiritual journey. And you know, when you think, I thought, I'm 30, I was 32, I think, at the time. And I thought, now you decide to tell me that you've got this gift and things. And he just kind of went, about the right time now, isn't it? And so I started getting Reiki afterwards, because at the time I didn't know that I had bipolar. I thought I was just having depressive bouts, and I thought that by having Reiki it would really, really help.
Well, it does.
So I went and had Reiki. And it's weird, because in my head, I know that you have to release the negative to be able to obviously let positive in. But because I'd let so much emotion out, I was like, something must be wrong. Like, no. And I hid away from it, and I stopped getting Reiki, because I just couldn't, in my head, I couldn't understand why I was letting all these emotions out. And my poor friend, bless her heart, she was trying to explain to me that, no, this is a good process that you're doing. And I was like, how's it good? You know, I'm crying my heart out, kind of thing. And anyway, I was intrigued by this. I was intrigued at the energies that you got from Reiki. I was intrigued of how it all kind of worked. So I started learning it myself, and I started self-healing through Reiki, and I learned how to do that. And I learned the biggest thing is I learned how to meditate. And I learned how to calm the crazy mind that just runs around. And the more that I calmed my mind, the more that spirit started coming through.
Of course, and 100%.
And it was just beautiful. And it was...
So Lizzy, tell us about the bipolar, because there's a lot of doctors out there that diagnose a lot of people with bipolar. Okay, and you've got bipolar because you're going up and down, and you've got this and you've got that, and it's they love a label. All right, so how have you been since you started your self-healing and you've done the Reiki? How is the so-called bipolar now? Because your meditating is amazing.
Oh, I love it. I find, and I wrote an article about it, I find that learning Reiki and meditating helps so much. Yeah. So I never know, when I wake up in the morning. I never know whether or not I'm going to be manic, whether or not I'm going to have a depressive bout. Like, I never know what the day holds, you know. And when I get that, what I've consciously been doing every single day, regardless if I have a manic day or a down day or anything, is the same time every day I have been meditating. And I will just take myself, no matter what I'm doing, I will just take myself out for half an hour and I will just sit and meditate.
Brilliant.
And it's all fun. It's just like letting all the craziness that runs around and goes, I think I should do this. No, do this. And then all of a sudden it goes, okay, we'll sit down for 2 minutes and we'll just clear. And as soon as I come back out from that, I just feel like everything's just calmed. It's just all calmed. If I'm having a day where my anxiety is riding high, I'll meditate and I just feel everything is just calmed down. I don't feel like I'm, I suppose, scared is that kind of tense with anxiety. You know, I don't feel that anymore. It's kind of like it's let it pass. Instead of letting it pass in a day, it's let it pass in more of a compact, safer surrounding, you know. And it just, I find that it's helped so much.
You're incredible. So, you know, and I know that this can be a struggle. So the doctors have diagnosed you as bipolar, and you've gone, okay, so you said I've got bipolar, so this isn't going to define me. This is going to, you can say what you like. I'm doing this. And you do, and you're incredible. You have 2 beautiful children, you run a wonderful home, and you have shown such incredible courage to and ongoing to do the work on yourself. Okay, and now I know anxiety can be just shocking, absolutely shocking. And for you to take this and go, right, I've got this anxiety, this is just too much, because I know lots of people that have anxiety, and that's why we use the essential oils, because you also use the essential oils.
Yeah, definitely.
And that lifts your vibration. It's incredible. How do you help others to combat their energies when they go into manic or they have anxiety, apart from giving them the oils and putting your hands on their head? What's your words of advice for them? How do you help them?
So for them, it is, you know, as I say, for someone that's going through anxiety, sometimes they will get it, you know, maybe once a month or something like that. I will get it for a period of a week and it's intense. Wow. And then it's gone, you know. Wow. To me, I'm very much like, take yourself out of that situation.
Wow.
Sit down, give yourself either meditation, just shut everything else off. I use lavender a lot and frankincense a lot. For when I just kind of calm and meditate. And the opposite as well, I'll use a lot of lemon to kind of get me out of that as well. You know, I'll do those kind of things. So I'll simply just put like the oils, I'll do them on my wrists and I'll just do them on my forehead, and I will just take myself out. So what I suggest to anyone that is going through that is, one, give yourself 2 minutes. Whether or not you need to go for a walk, whether or not you need to have a bath or anything like that, you can meditate wherever you are. You don't have to sit cross-legged, back straight with the arm position. That doesn't define meditation. You can go out for a walk. And sometimes it is like, you know, what I've been teaching people, it's clearing the noise that's there when you're on a walk and pinpointing things like a bird song or anything like that, so it clears that mind. With having anxiety, it's taking your mind away from that thought and placing it somewhere else, where you're feeling that tranquilness, so that you're not worrying about it anymore. And having a bath, like the other day I meditated in the bath, and I literally just laid there, meditated in the bath, and it just felt like literally everything had just drifted away. That's amazing. It's those little key things, and it's nothing major that you need to do. It's nothing that's going to take you completely changing your day and throwing you out of your comfort zone, so to speak, in that sense. Because that's the thing with anxiety, is you don't want you know, if someone's sat there and, okay, well, I think you need to go and jump 51 times and it's going to get rid of your anxiety, they might look at you and be like, I don't feel comfortable with this. But when you put it in a perspective of carry on doing what you're doing, but tweak it just a little bit, people are more willing to let that in. And then when they start to see and start to embrace that positivity and how it works for them, they'll continue and continue and continue to do it. And it's just, it's phenomenal. It's beautiful. But yeah, I highly recommend, especially because like at the moment it's obviously getting out for an hour a day in lockdown. Go for that little bit of a walk and just shut off all the noise. You don't have to close your eyes so you don't fall over, but it is literally just, you know, listening and pinpointing something specific. And I tell you what, when you've done that, oh, it's like a new lease of energy that you've got. But that's my biggest
lovely
advice.
I'm so happy that I learned that from you. I do that. I do go and I listen to the birds, and yeah, you're right. It does. It, you know, that when I go outside, sometimes we have some beautiful birds outside in the garden because I live on a field. And you're right. You're absolutely right. You can zone out by just finding the beauty in the sound of the birds, because there's so many birds in everyone's gardens at the moment. Yeah, you're right. And yeah, it is. It just takes you out of that manic, because everyone does it. Everyone goes a bit crazy and everybody draws in other people's thought forms. So it's so important. Nature has its own way of healing.
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. I get drawn to wanting to go to specific places as well. Like I'll just all of a sudden get that urge and it'll be like, walk down the beach. And I'll be doing something, I'll be writing something, and it'll just come up and be like, walk down the beach. And I'll be like, sorry, what now?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah.
I know that then that's something I need to go off and do. My body and my mind is telling me to go and do these things.
That's amazing. So Lizzy, what's next for you?
So what's next for me is I'm writing a book myself. So I'm writing a book, so which I'm really, really excited. So hopefully that's going to come out next year. And I'm about to release my mind went then. I'm about to release a 12-week course. So that's exciting as well. And that's all to do with helping pretty much what we've just gone through, learning all those like meditation and everything like that to help us through everything. So yeah, so I'm really excited. And to get back to teaching people about Reiki and things too, like I can't wait. I've just got everything that's going to be happening soon, and it's just a big bubble of excitement and energy, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
So Lizzy, Lizzy's story is in volume 4. She's a little corker and we love our Lizzy. It's so amazing to talk to you. It's so amazing to listen to your journey, and I know how difficult it can be with the world sometimes, and you know, being labeled when you're like, hey, you, that's not me, I'm going to do this instead. And I love that you've got drive and passion to change and not to be labeled, because that was one thing that we really talked about before. That no matter what happens in life, that you can overcome it, and there's a lot more to you than just this interview, so they need to read your story. So thank you, and I'm sending you so much love, and have a wonderful day. God bless you.
Thank you, my darling. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye. You can see this video again, this live again will be up on the Goddess Calls YouTube channel, so you can always go back and watch her videos. See you later.